Hello and welcome to the first ever Golf Ireland pod. I am delighted to be your host. I am Stephen Murphy, and the Golf Ireland has launched a podcast. We will be doing weekly podcasts every Wednesday, coming to you with all the previews, reviews of the tournament this season, and also talking to some pretty special guests throughout the year, whether it be players and members of the Golf Ireland team. Look out for obviously all the updates on the social media, and we will be available on all your podcast platforms wherever you listen to your podcast. So thank you very much for joining us. This week we will be previewing the Flogas Irish Men's Amateur Championship, which kicks off this Thursday at the Island Golf Club in Dublin. And we are very excited. It's a big tournament early on in the season. So we will start by previewing that tournament. And by, sometimes the best way to look forward is to look backwards. So we will look back to the West of Ireland Championship and look at some of the names that featured well there. Obviously, starting off with the winner, which is James Claridge, who won in very, very tough conditions in County Sligo Golf Club. And he will be looking to continue a stellar start to the year this week at the Island to help, the Walker Cup is on at the end of the year, and he'll be looking to get himself onto that team. So he'll be looking to have a big week this week. Other names who were in that kind of last four in Sligo were obviously Mark Boucher, who lost to James Claridge in the semis. Also Shane McDermott, who lost in his semi-final to Barry Anderson. Both Boucher and McDermott will be looking to keep their form going this week, especially Boucher. When he looks back, he lost to Claridge in the semi-final after 20 holes. So he could probably look back and think one of shots went either way, and he could have been the champion himself. So he'll be looking to maybe right some wrongs this week in Dublin at the Island Golf Club. Also last week was the Munster Men's Amateur Championship. Jason Law had a great win that week. Unfortunately, he's not in the field this week, but players who are in the field this week who featured well that week are playing is Jake Whelan, who lost in the semi-finals. Jake is also leading the Bridgestone Order of Merit. He'll be looking to continue his lead at that top of the Bridgestone Order of Merit this week. And also Harry Gillivan, who lost in the final to Jason Law, will hope to right some wrongs as well himself this week with another good performance. Some big names, obviously, from past few seasons who are in the field is obviously Hugh Foley, who had a stellar year last year, winning the North and South Championships and also coming second in the American Mid-Am. He'll be looking to have another good year this year. And his progression, Matthew McLean, who bet Hugh in the Mid-Am last year, he will also be in the field this year, looking to kick on again. Runner-up at this event last year, losing out to Colm Campbell. So he'll have his eyes on the prize as always. Peter O'Keefe is a past champion here in 2021. With his power and length off the tee, obviously can take on any golf course and bring it to its knees. Robert Moran, who was third last year, is also going to look to collect that trophy on Sunday evening, and no one would be surprised if he went and done that. Finally, of course, we have to talk about Colm Campbell. Colm Campbell is our guest this week, who I will be speaking to in a few minutes. And he had a great win here last year at the same golf course, the Island, with some huge clutch putts on 17 and 18, which got Colm into a playoff where he outlasted Matthew McLean. Colm also won this event back in 2016, so confidence will be high. He knows that he can get this done in a late group on a Saturday and Sunday around this golf course in all conditions. So he will have pretty big confidence going into this weekend. If you're around the area, if you're free this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you will see some spectacular golf on show from the best amateurs in the country around a beautiful golf course at the Island. So if you are around and you want to go see some great golf, please go down to the Island and you will not be disappointed. Some other big names as well as Sean Keeling will be playing this week, which is absolutely huge. He's just a phenomenon as a young lad already, just making massive waves. The likes of Cian Hark and James Hewitt also in the field and also very much fancied this weekend, and who would bet against them? Before we get stuck into my chat with Colm, a few pieces of news around the kind of Ireland at the moment in regards to golf. Golf Ireland is launching an innovative youth council. It's a platform for 18 to 24-year-olds aimed at shaping the future of golf in Ireland. It is open to all. The council targets low participation rates and seeks young people's views on the sport. Members get to represent Golf Ireland at major events, enjoy personal development opportunities, and have a say in the game's decision-making process. More information is available on the Golf Ireland website, which is absolutely fantastic to get those kind of thoughts of what the game should be like from the younger people as well, which is brilliant. In other news, Ballinrobe claimed the Charles McGoldrick Cup at the Connacht Schools in Castlebar Golf Club recently. 75 juniors took part, with top honours going to Emily Griffith of Bala Secondary School, while Cian Mannion from Kusan National School took the Boys Award. Congratulations to them. The Charles McGoldrick Cup finds its way to Ballinrobe Community School, who pipped St. Jarlath's of Tuam on a countback. Oh, that is tight. Golf Ireland Pro Scheme was also launched this week, which is absolutely huge. Golf Ireland professionals will receive over €250,000 in funding this year. Golf Ireland, in partnership with Sport Ireland, launched the 2023 scheme, with 7 golfers set to benefit from grants. Pro golfers Olivia Mahaffey, Jonathan Yates were on site at the Golf Ireland Academy, where they were joined by Sport Ireland CEO Dr. Una May, Minister of State for Sport and Physical Education Thomas Byrne TD, Golf Ireland CEO Mark Kennelly, and Golf Ireland High Performance Director Neil Manship. Mahaffey and Yates will join Stuart Grehan, Gary Hurley, John Murphy, Conor Purcell, and Dermot McElroy in receiving €35,000 each in funding, which is absolutely huge and will go a long way, I'm sure, to helping them on their path towards becoming a pro. I'll get talking now to Colm Campbell. We spoke about his journey last year on his way to winning this fantastic tournament, and if he can repeat this year. Enjoy that. I'm now delighted to be joined by Colm Campbell. Colm Campbell, thank you very much for joining us. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, all is good. Thank you.
How's all in your world as you prepare for an upcoming tournament that's obviously very special to you, the Flogas Irish Amateur Open Championship?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Had Senior Cup yesterday there in Clandyboy, which will obviously be going to now in a few weeks for the Ulster Stroke Play. So played there yesterday, and then I'm going to the island on Wednesday evening for practice round, and then obviously we'll start then on Thursday. So yeah, looking forward to it.
As I said, defending champ. Does it feel like a year already has passed, or does it not seem like that long time?
No, it really doesn't. Funny, I was saying that to somebody yesterday. That year has just flown in, so it has. It's been a really quick year, and I can't believe we're sort of back to the week of the Irish Amateur again. So it's been a really quick year.
Let's quickly kind of hark back to last year. You held 2 massive par putts on 17 and 18 to kind of keep the round going and force that playoff with Matthew McLean.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through that? Just kind of remind us all about those kind of clutch putts.
Yeah, funny. I still this moment, the putt I hit on 16, the par 3, and it had like a slow lip out, and I still can't believe that one didn't go in. But it was really funny. I held a couple of nice putts, at the start of the round, and then sort of didn't really hold anything throughout the rest of the round. And then, 17, that was a really big putt. I feel like if I hadn't held that, my chances of making 3 in 18 was, it was going to be a big ask. 18 is a really tough hole, and yeah, that was a really big putt on 17. It was about a 12-footer, slightly downhill, and it was nice to see one get in at the right time, and then the one on 18, obviously then to force the playoff, because I'd heard Matt had made a really good up and down to get into the clubhouse. I think it was +1 at the time, and so that was clutch as well, and it was nice to see 2 putts drop at a sort of really key moment. So it was.
Talk to me then about the mindset heading into the playoff. Do you have to calm yourself down and try and, let the adrenaline kind of wear off after those 2, especially that putt on 18 where, you had to be quite pumped up after that? Yeah,
funny, like it was a really bizarre sort of round. I was so calm, and I was, I felt like I was really in control of, everything that was going on. And I remember we got to the tee, and I obviously then won the toss to hit the tee shot first, which was a really... I was massive too. I was able to get my tee shot away, and I had a really good tee shot, and that probably hooked Matt under a wee bit of pressure then as well. And going back to the first tee, the 18th tee in the first playoff, I was actually really, really calm, and I'd never felt so sort of relaxed in that type of situation before. So that was unusual. Which was a nice feeling as well, and as I said, won the toss and got a really good tee shot away, and obviously Matt didn't hit a great one for him now, to be fair. So yeah, it was good.
You mentioned being calm. Do you work on that? Is that something that you work on when you practice equally as much as your actual skills? Is maybe the mental side of the game? Because it's quite, it's quite tough to be that calm in such a pressurized
Mm.
situation.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no. I definitely wouldn't do any sort of help or work around that. I don't know. It's just probably at a different stage in terms of where my golfing career is, and was obviously I was going into that week with very little expectations. Whereas the other lads are all playing on a full time basis, and they're obviously aiming to turn pro. And for me, it was obviously I was just there. I was happy to be in contention. Obviously I was there to win, but obviously the expectations is maybe just not quite as high as what they were in the past. So it was actually nice to be able to play golf pretty free, and just enjoy it. And yeah, it was good now, to be fair.
Golfers often, say that sticking to their routine is such a huge part of keeping calm in that situation. Is it tough to remind yourself to do that, especially when you say you've gotten the coin toss to go first? You just want to get one out there that's sort of in play. Is it tough to maybe take a step back, take a deep breath, and actually stick to that routine?
It is, to be fair. Like, even as I'm saying I was calm, at the end of the day, there's a lot on the line, and when you're in that situation, you want to get over the line then as well. And it is difficult. I probably sound like I maybe contradict myself a little bit, but you just have to trust your ability, trust the shot that you're looking to hit, and try and execute it to the best of your ability. And that 18th, or sorry, the first playoff hole, like I just stood up and had a really, really good tee shot, as good a tee shot as I remember hitting, because it's not an easy tee shot, and it's probably one that I did struggle with in the past, in previous times playing the Island Golf Club. And I was really, really chuffed to get to win the toss and then get a really good tee shot away. I thought it was very important.
It has to be confidence inspiring now when, if you're in a situation like that again, that you can hark back to that situation. You're like, you know what, I actually stepped up and delivered when I needed to most there. That has to be confidence inspiring.
Yeah, it is. Although I haven't been in that situation since, but
yes.
No, look, you have to draw on all your experiences, and know that when you're in the situation, that your golf swing's good enough, it holds up under pressure, and you can execute the shots at the right time, and you obviously have to draw on those things.
Absolutely. You mentioned last year after you won that you had a great 3-ball with Mark and Robert, and you were all kind of encouraging each other down the stretch. Is that common amongst the lads out in tour? There seems to be quite a good camaraderie among the lads.
Yeah, like definitely. Like, look, at the end of the day, we're all out to to achieve the one thing, and that's obviously winning that whatever tournament it is you're playing. But like, you're not playing with your partners and saying, geez, I hope this man plays brutal or hits bad shots. Like we had a great 3-ball, myself, Rob, and Mark. Like, obviously know the lads well, and that probably helped that we were all having a bit of crack with one another. And at the end of the day, if somebody hits a good shot, that's it. And if somebody plays better than you on the day, you have to put your hands up and say, look, he deserved to win. Or so, yeah, definitely, yeah. You wouldn't see too much animosity, and it's refreshing to see that lads all get on with one another and are encouraging each other in the situation.
Absolutely. On a personal note, how important is the Flogas Irish Amateur Open Championship to you personally?
Yeah, like, look, obviously Flogas were sponsoring it whenever I won in 2016, and these events don't happen without sponsors. I know John, I've got to know John over the years as well, and it's brilliant that they've stuck by the tournament, for so long. And it's the biggest week of the year in Ireland, and without these types of sponsors, these events don't run the way they do. So it's great to have Flogas on board.
Last year was obviously difficult conditions on a couple of days of the tournament. Do you feel like your game is suited well to those difficult conditions? Do you enjoy the difficult conditions, or would you rather play in the sunshine like myself?
Oh, look, everybody wants to play in sunshine, but we don't obviously get that too often here. No. But yeah, look, I actually enjoy when it is a wee bit windier and a wee bit, playing tougher. I don't know why. Obviously, just like punishing myself. But yeah, no, look, when it probably plays into my hands a wee bit more, that when it is harder, you're not having to maybe make loads of birdies, and pars are generally good scores, especially around a golf course like the Island, because it doesn't give up too many chances. So like last year, it was just really about patience and trying to sort of keep the big numbers off the scorecard, and just like accepting the pars are good scores. You're not losing shots on the field, and just accepting that it's the same for everybody.
Do you change your tactics or your play style in conditions like that? Is it more just middle of the green stuff, or is it even just up around the green?
Yeah, like funny, in the last round last year, I just remember going out with a game plan that sort of try and hit middle of the greens, hitting at the sort of, obviously there's times where you can be a wee bit more aggressive, but the game plan was just hit middle of the greens. Generally, you're not going to be too far away if you're hitting middle of the greens and giving yourself chances. You're not, it's damage limitation. Sometimes it is difficult to do that. If you see a pin position and you think, geez, I can get that one in close, but on a golf course like the Island, if you're off a little bit, it can certainly pull you in, and you can make big numbers very quickly, which I've done in the
past. Golfers mentioned about staying patient and giving yourself chances on a golf course. Can you expand on that a little bit? Because I think when us average or bad golfers hear that, they think about giving yourself chances for birdie, but that's not necessarily the case sometimes. Sometimes it's just about, as you say, eradicating that big number. Is that more accurate?
It is, to be fair, and especially when you're playing a links golf course where it's blowing maybe 25 mile an hour wind, and it's pars are never going to do any damage, especially if you make a double bogey or a triple bogey or whatever it is. It's very difficult on a golf course, say like the Island, to claw those shots back. And I think it's just reminding yourself that making pars, like if you take last year +1 won it for 4 rounds of golf, if you're shooting pars all day, you're not doing any, you're not doing yourself any harm. And it is difficult, because when you are out there at times, as I said, you feel like you can make birdies, and then next thing you're in a bunker and you're maybe taking 2 to get out. And so it's very important to stay patient and try and hit the middle of the greens.
Yeah, a good lesson for, I think, everyone listening at home. How are you playing at the moment, Colm? How do you feel your game is after your showing in Cork for the Munster Men's Amateur Open Championship?
Yeah, game's actually good. I actually played really nicely in Cork. Probably my score didn't really reflect on how I actually played, but very happy and content to where I am. I'd say, I'm probably, if I was being honest, I'm probably playing a wee bit better than what I was playing this time last year going into the tournament. So very happy and content where the game is at the minute. So look, going into this week, it's, you're hoping that it stays that way and you start maybe holding a few more putts as well.
It's a star-studded field again this year. Have you let your mind wander towards retaining the title, or have you tried to block that out?
Yeah, look, you can get ahead of yourself very quickly. But I think it's just, obviously with the field that is there this year, it's going to be a tougher challenge. We've got some of the best players in the world coming across. So yeah, look, I'm looking forward to it. As I said, I feel my game's in good shape, and it's just enjoying it and trying to just give myself as much of a chance getting into sort of Saturday, Sunday as I can. And obviously the first couple of rounds, staying patient and just as I said, trying to give yourself a chance for Saturday and Sunday, and yeah, should be good.
What do you think will it take to win at the Island this weekend?
Yeah, the Island, it's a tough test. I don't think. Now, obviously, look, the wind is obviously going to play a part, and it'll determine what the scoring is going to be like. I just don't see anybody sort of shooting like a 65 or a 66 around it, unless it's maybe in, flat, calm conditions. Then that's a different story. Generally, you don't get that around the Island. But I think if you're in around level par for 4 rounds of golf, I honestly don't think that's going to be too far away. And again, look, it's hard to predict, because if the wind gets up and we get a bit of rain or whatever, which can happen very easily around links golf, you could be talking any sort of number really. So weather's going to play a big part in it too, Stephen.
Talk to us a little bit about the island for people who aren't as familiar with the course. Is it a course that suits, off the tee accuracy? Is it approaches into greens? Is it short game? What has to be sharp as attack to perform well against around the island?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, the big thing around the island is you've got to put the ball in play, and you've got to be coming off the fairway. It's a big advantage because the greens they're not massive greens; they're quite small. So coming from the fairway where you have the most control of your golf ball is definitely key. I definitely think the big factor around the island is driving the ball well. And it probably, to be fair, is probably what helped me win last year. I drove the ball exceptionally well. Didn't put myself under too much pressure off the tee. So definitely, I think, for anybody that hasn't played it or maybe has played it, I would definitely say driving the golf ball is key. You don't have much room for error off the tee. And as I say, the greens are very small. They've got loads of like little runoffs. They're not your typical sort of links greens where they're big and you've got plenty of room to hit at. They're the actual opposite of it. So yeah, definitely driving the ball or putting the ball in play off the tee is key.
It sounds like I would shoot 150 around that place. Is what it sounds like. From what I've seen, it looks like a very good tough test.
It is.
The Bridgestone Order of Merit is obviously a nice subplot that's running throughout this season. What's your thoughts on that, and how important is it just to sort of hang around in that sort of race as well?
Yeah, look, it's the Bridgestone Order of Merit is. Yeah, it's a good idea because it gives lads that maybe don't get across the water and can't play championships across the water. It gives them an opportunity to grab some vital points. Gives them an opportunity to, obviously qualify and play on the home internationals team. So yeah, look, the idea behind it is very good, and I think it's definitely what was needed in Ireland. Because in previous years, obviously you were sort of. Some of the Irish events were nearly not looked at, against maybe lads that were playing in the likes of your Lytham trophies and Andrews trophies, that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it definitely serves its purpose, so it does.
You're teeing off at 11 minutes past 8 on Thursday. Do you like the early tee times, or do you prefer the afternoon tee times?
Yeah, no, I do. I much prefer an early tee time, Stephen, if I'm being honest. I like to sort of get out and get the ball rolling. And last year I was an early tea time in the morning as well. I think it was maybe the second group out last year, and I think I'm something similar this year. So, yeah, no, I do. I like getting out early and getting it done. Didn't work too well for me.
When you have an afternoon tea time, especially last year when you're teeing off, towards the end of the groups. Are you still up at the same time as you would be? Do you change anything about your routine, or is it just just a later version of it?
Yeah, no. Like generally, no, the routine doesn't really change that often. Especially when you've got a 3-year-old running around the house and causing chaos. No, like if it's an afternoon tea time, you just get up and do the usual, and no, it doesn't change much, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of your competitors don't have that 3-year-old running around the house, so they have no idea what your preparation's like, I'm sure.
Not that they know of, anyway.
No, yeah. You're playing alongside James Claridge and James Nash. Are you familiar with those lads? Do you have a good relationship with those lads?
I don't know James Claridge. He won the West. I don't know him at all now. I know James. We played him last year in the home internationals in Ballyliffin. So yeah, he's nice fella. So yeah, nice 3-ball. So looking forward to that. But yeah, I only know James Nash, the Welsh guy. So yeah, looking forward to that. That'll be good.
Are you a chatter when you're out playing? Do you stick to yourself? How do you like to interact with your playing partners?
Yeah, no, look, I like having a chat with lads, having a bit of crack, sort of walking between shots and stuff like that. Because it's a long day when you're out there. You can be out there for maybe 4.5, 5 hours, and it's nice to have a bit of banter with the boys, and because they're long rounds at times. So, and as said there at the start of the conversation, we'll have playing with the likes of Matt and Rob last year, where we're all obviously trying to win it, but when you're having a bit of crack, it sort of eases the mind a wee bit as well. So it does. So yeah, it definitely plays a part.
talk to us about your love or dislike even for links golf. Is it something? Is a type of golf that you love? I'm not familiar with Warren Point. Is that a links course up in the north? Is it, or is it not?
No, Warren Point's actually the complete opposite. It's a parkland, tight and short, but it also gets very windy. So yeah, it's very similar to what I was saying about the island. You obviously have to drive the ball quite well, and so it sets up well for when you do go away to other courses. If you're driving the ball well, it helps, which you have to do around Warren Point. But I definitely prefer links now, if I'm being honest. And if you look back at what I've won in the past, they've all come on links courses. So that obviously tells you that my love for links is such. So yeah, no, I would definitely be a fan of the links golf. And then obviously we've got some of the best links golf courses in the world. So yeah, I'd definitely be a huge fan of links golf.
And what is it about links golf? If say an American come over and wanted to play for the first time, what would you tell them is what is the special little aspect of links golf that it's so beloved in this country?
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that you can hit every type of golf shot. From maybe a 400-yard drive to maybe you could hit an 8-iron 110 yards depending on the wind. There's just so much variation whenever you play links golf, and you just get every shot in the book potentially. So yeah, it's good. It's just a good challenge. And you're obviously for likes of anybody playing parkland golf, and then you go to links golf, playing off that firm turf is just different. So it is.
Especially if you have the chip and yips, it's always a nice little.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good if you're struggling with a chip in now, to be fair.
But that's that's great about links. You can put from 80 yards out if it allows you. So that's great.
It does. Yeah. Where you wouldn't be able to do that on a parkland golf course.
No. One thing about links golf that people love is you don't have to hit driver off every tee. For par fours and par fives. Would that be your strategy going into this week? Do you have driving iron in the bag? What's your kind of your club choice off tees?
Yeah, like I would generally see myself as a decent driver of the golf ball, but there is holes in the island that it is an iron off the tee or a driving iron, as you said. So I carry a 2-iron in the bag, so I'm sure it'll come into play at some point throughout the week. And obviously it's going to be key hitting fairways around the island, so there is going to be times where you will need to hit the 2-iron to get it into play. And well,
it'll be fascinating to keep an eye on you, Colm. Thank you very much for coming on the first Golf Ireland pod. No we had to, of course, have the defending champion on the first week, so we appreciate you taking your time out. We wish you the best of luck, and thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks, Stephen. Thank you.
Thanks again to Colm for coming on and talking to me. With that wraps up the first episode of the Golf Ireland pod. Thank you very much for listening. We will be back next week to recap all the action from the Flogas Irish Men's Amateur Championship, and look forward to next week's competition, which will be the Flogas Irish Women's and Girls Amateur Championship, and that is coming to you from Woodbrook, and that is on the 19th of May to the 21st of May. So best of luck to all the competitors this weekend at the Island Golf Club, and we will see you guys next week to recap it all.